When I found out there was a new event for Heart Gold and Soul Silver that allowed players to get a Mew, I was excited to say the very least. I had never in any of my Pokemon games come to own a Mew, given the Nintendo events for them had since passed, and I wasn't about to risk screwing up a game with the Mew glitch. I was at my sister's when I found out, and was unfortunately without my DS at the time, so I had to wait until I was back at my dad's to receive my Mew. Just about the moment I got back into the house, I immediately went off to get my new Pokemon, despite not being that big of a Pokemon fan anymore. The anticipation of receiving this rare special bunch of data brought back some of the excitement I used to feel when I first started playing the games. However, the Mew would have to wait to be used, since I had a strict training regimen in place for my present team at the time. I got the legendary. All my Pokemon needed to be at level 20 before I could start training my Mew, despite how badly I wanted to start its training. Soon enough, I was training the rest of my team and proceeded to put Mew up front for battle. The Mew's cry made me smile, as did the sight of its adorable little sprite floating along behind my character. I probably would not have been happy if I had known how bad things were eventually going to get. My Mew was just as the event notice I had read described. Level 5, and only knew the move Pound. I figured it would take a lot of time to raise him to level 20, like the other members of my team, but thanks to the fact he gained boosted XP, it barely took any time at all. I have no idea why he got boosted XP, but I figured that was just what happened with event Pokemon as it does with traded ones. Now here's where things started to get weird. I needed to train the rest of my team again and get everyone up to level 30, so I switched to Mew with my ever faithful Quilava, who was cleverly named Wildfire. My other Pokemon were organized according to how much XP they needed before reaching the next level before heading off to the grass to train. I anticipated Wildfire's battle cry and his back sprite, but instead of Mew came up, I was confused, knowing I had in fact moved Mew to the back of my team. Something wasn't right here. There was no way my game could be a hacked version, though, as I'd gotten it brand new from a GameStop. I had the event I got my Mew through screwed something in the programming up? As I finally refocused on the screen, I noticed there was a text box that I clearly had never seen before. It read, Mew wants to battle. I looked almost annoyed at this. Now sure, something had been screwed up in my game. I huffed and went through the battle as usual, letting the Mew take down the opposing Rattata with a Mega Punch. When I got out of the battle, I was surprised to see Mew had taken Wildfire's place behind my character. I went back to my team figuring I'd just moved Mew back, but Mew was still at the back of my group. Wildfire was still in the lead. I looked at the screen confusedly, wondering how on earth a scheduled event had messed up the programming like this. I sighed, deciding that perhaps it could be fixed by turning the DS off and back on without saving. But I decided I needed to make absolutely sure that something was wrong. I went ahead and traveled through the grass, Mew floating along behind me like a ghost. The next 3 battles were exactly the same, Mew taking Wildfire's place and the text box with Mew wants to battle coming up. So I decided to restart the DS and with some hesitation went ahead and did so without saving. The game started up as normal, but when I pressed start, it put me back into the game, right where it had been when I had switched the game off. My character turned to the Mew of its own accord. I heard Mew's cry, a heart appearing above its head. Normally, I might have been charmed by this and found it cute, but considering what was going on, I was freaked out. A text box appeared saying, Mew wants to serve you, which something I'm sure should not exist. I walked off, going onto the into Goldenrod to take care of Whitney. Yeah, I wasn't too far. Go ahead and laugh. I made sure Wildfire was in the first place, despite the fact that my Quilava was not following me. I went ahead and challenged her, Wildfire coming up, much to my relief. But then, a short, distressed, and distorted cry played, and Wildfire was replaced by Mew. A text box appeared saying, Mew forced Wildfire out. Mew wants to battle. Uneasily, I continued through the fight, noticing how easily the Mew seemed to take out Whitney's Pokemon. The victory somehow felt hollow. Underneath all the perplexed feelings I had over what was going on with the Mew, after the battle, Whitney didn't speak to me as she usually would. A notice just comes me up saying the badge and the TM I received. I tried to speak with her, but it just wouldn't let me, which creeped me out a little. All of the other trainers in the gym had mysteriously disappeared, along with the guy who advises you on what to do in the battle. I left the gym quickly, Mew's cry going off once I was out. My character turned to it, and the text box popped up saying, Mew wanted to know if you were pleased, along with yes or no options. Despite having to really have wanted to use Wildfire to get him some XP, I just clicked yes, as if it was fearful of what might happen if I picked no. The Mew gave up two of its usual cries, and the sprite moved around as if overjoyed, and a heart appearing over its head. A text box saying, Mew want to continue serving you, came up, and I felt a little more uneasy. I decided to shake it off and just continue on. The Mew kept taking battles away from Wildfire, as well as any other Pokemon I tried to put out in front. The same text box saying, Mew wants to battle. The text box would come up, and eventually I just got used to it. But then I took an aggressive turn, as I kept trying to get a new Pokemon to fight. The text box that appeared as I tried to put Sky, my Fearow, into battle said, Mew shoved Sky away. Mew wants to fight. I heard Sky give a distorted cry, swearing I could hear the pain in it. But wasn't this just a game? After the battle, my character turned to the Mew as it gave a high-pitched screech, causing me to wince. A text box appeared saying, Mew wants to serve you, let it. The way let it was in all caps, and everything freaked me out as I stopped trying to move my Pokemon around. I had to check on Sky though. To my shock, her HP was at 0. I tried to select Sky, but the text box popped up saying, Don't. And it wouldn't let me do anything. I frowned and started playing again, healing my Pokemon once reaching the next city. I tried to move Sky again, but the same Don't text box popped up again. Then a new one popped up saying move, with the yes or no options. I decided to try and get Sky back in first, blinking as I heard the soft cry of a Fearow. It sounded almost afraid. I went back into the grass to train, and as I expected, Mew took Sky's place. But this time, it was more aggressive. I heard Sky's cry, except it was high-pitched, and came to a sudden stop. A text box popped up saying, Mew has killed Sky. Mew wants to battle. I was shaken slightly by this, as I had never seen the term killed used in a Pokemon game, besides when it was said a Marowak in Pokemon Tower had been killed. Sky had just fainted, right? After the battle, the Mew gave a screech just like last time, making a movement as if agitated. The text box popped up saying, Mew wants to serve you. You should have let it. A chill going through me as I read the words. I quickly went and checked my Pokemon, giving a short gasp as I saw Sky's sprite had a red X over it and was gray. I clicked it, and a message saying, Sky is dead, came up. In a panic, I switched the game off, desperately hoping that a restart would fix everything, that the Psycho Mew would be gone and Sky would be fine, so I could get back on with the game. The game started up the same as it had last time, watching as my character turned to the Mew, which was rather still. I watched the message pop up saying, Mew wants to serve you. Mew will not let any other Pokemon interfere. I shuddered a little, watching as the sprite moved as if happy, and a heart appeared above its head. I went to the Pokemon Center and tried to place Mew in the PC, but it outright refused to go. Every time I tried, a message saying Mew doesn't want to leave you kept coming up as if releasing it. Eventually, I gave up and exited the Pokemon Center, my character turning into an oddly still Mew once out. Text box asking, Mew wants to know if you are unhappy, with the yes or no options. I instantly clicked yes and was met with an ungodly loud screech from the DS speakers, making me drop the thing hesitantly. I picked it back up once the screech stopped, shuddering as I read the new text box. Mew used Death Song. Wildfire has died. Uso has died. Kaz has died. Voice has died. Then a new box came up of its own accord saying, Now you have to use me, in an eerie red text. I tried turning off the game several times, but each time resulted in a message Mew saying, You can't get rid of me, in the same red text. I tried to play the game from there, thinking maybe I could catch new Pokemon. However, any Pokemon Mew defeated would be killed, as in, has died. My team was still firmly in place, as if to disturb me further. The game let me know that Sky is decomposing. You must hurry. You must bury your Pokemon. Once I exited out of the text box, my character suddenly spun as if he had just commanded a Pokemon to fly, despite the fact I certainly had not. I had been taken to Pokemon Tower, which is absolutely impossible since I wasn't even close to being in Lavender Town yet. Stranger still, it was filled with graves, as opposed to being a radio tower like it should have been. A text box popped up saying, You can bury them now, in red text. The screen moved to show 5 new graves, and I went along them, a Pokemon being laid to rest with each hole I passed. After they were buried, my character turned to the Mew, a text box popping up saying, Are you sad? With yes or no options. I clicked yes, and the Mew seemed to give a sad wail. A flurry of text boxes claiming, I'm sorry, written in blue text coming up. Then the Mew sprite seemed to twitch, and a new text box came up proclaiming, I will make you happy. I will serve you, in red text, making me shudder. I tried switching off the system off repeatedly, but it refused to shut off. A loud screech issuing from the speakers, a text box saying, You can't get rid of me. I won't let you, came up, and an odd laughing noise started issuing from the speakers. I panicked and completely freaked out, hurling the DS at the adjacent wall of my room, getting yelled at for breaking it. It was the absolute farthest thing from my mind at the moment. The DS seemed oddly enough unharmed, despite making a a loud bang as it collided with the wall. Then the noise stopped. It took forever, but I eventually went over and looked down at it, discovering it had shut off due to low battery. I was too afraid at the moment to actually pick up the DS, just staring back at the dual screens as I had expected something to come out of them. I let out a cry of alarm as I swore I saw something mute-shaped flicker across the reflection on the screen behind me. I turned around swiftly, expected to see the Pokemon I had come to fear floating in the air behind me. But there was nothing. I tried to tell my friend Minion about everything that had happened, but she was skeptical. Especially once I told her I seemed to have blacked out after my little scare with the reflection and woke up in bed. I had asked my dad to see if he had maybe found me passed out in the other room and dragged me to the bed, but he said he did not. I was soon decided by Minion that the entire thing must have been a dream. I eventually agreed with her, as it seemed to make sense if it was put away. My consciousness was eased, now putting the terrible nightmare behind me. Given my reassured safety, I went to play Soul Silver again, smiling as the game started as it would and everything. However, my blood ran cold as I saw the Mew sprite floating behind my character, distorted cry playing. I watched tensely as my character turned to face it. I watched the sprite as it danced around a bit and heart appeared above its head. A text box coming up, and I just stared back in blank horror at it. Welcome back! Let me serve you! That was an event gone wrong. My final thoughts? Where do I begin? I mean, it's your typical Pokepasta with the whole let me serve you, I will make you happy, or my Pokemon has died, or even the game doing stuff that it's not supposed to, or even affecting things in reality. But I feel like that's just a part of the Pokepasta's charm, like the absurdity factor behind it. I mean, all in all, I did have a fun time reading it, but I want to hear what you think in the comments section below. And as always, before I let you guys go, make sure to follow my socials. So my socials, my Twitch, my TikTok for the shorts, my Instagram pretty much for everything else, my Twitter, and with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.